Hey guys, today I'm going to be testing the Crayola Blending Markers. They are from the Signature line. A while back I did test the dual tip brush markers, so if you're interested in what I thought about these, I will link that video down below and in the iCard up in the corner there. I have my Christmas tree up, which is not normal for me if it's before Thanksgiving. Normally I wait till after Thanksgiving or December. Like, I will be very stubborn and be like, December 1st. No trees. But this year I had a brand deal to work on, so I did photos for a brand. If you follow me on Instagram and or Facebook, then you will be seeing those photos in a couple weeks, maybe 3, I don't know. This is the coziest little corner I have ever had though. I mean, I just kind of want to take a nap instead of film, but there are Crayolas to test. I did plan ahead because I knew this would be a busy week. I'm just starting to film this video on Thursday and I post on Fridays, so I don't have like a ton of time to do anything crazy this week. I did pick both of these up from Target with the intent of making a video on one of them this week and one of them, you know, upcoming soon. So I do have this Silly Scent sticker maker. If you guys are interested in seeing a video on this, I thought, you know, maybe it'd be cool to review it. Also, if you want to see some more behind the scenes of my life and what goes on when I'm not filming for this channel, check out my vlog channel, which is Live Love Sarah Lynn. I will link that below as well. In this tin, there are 16 markers, at least that's what it says at the top, but then at the bottom it says 14 markers and 2 colorless blenders. It also says non-toxic, so I assume that they are not alcohol markers. I got this for $20 at Target. I have a red card because I'm Target obsessed, and it's just like a great thing to do if you always shop at Target because you save 5% every time. This is not a plug for Target. I am not sponsored by Target, but hey Target, you know, if you want to sponsor me ever, I am a red card holder and I have been for 5 years. I believe you can get this from other places. I did not see it listed at my local Michael's, but then again, I did not go into my Michael's and check that they had it. But if I would have not been so lazy, I was in a hurry though, I would have saved 40 or 50% off depending on the coupon available this week. And then the final thing I want to mention before opening this is if you guys are here to see me try this on marker paper or blending paper, because it does say that they work best on blending marker paper. You won't see that here because I don't have any. I've never used marker paper, so that is on my to get list, my like Merry Christmas to myself list, or maybe I'll ask Craig or my mom for that. But we're just gonna be using plain white computer paper, copy paper, and some cardstock. To be honest, my entire life, these are the only 2 papers I've really used, aside from sometimes a little bit of watercolor paper or anything fancy that possibly I would have gotten at school for like a special art piece. And they're like, be very careful with this paper, don't bend it, you can't get another one. Not until adulthood did I realize how expensive paper and art supplies really are, or can be. And we'll be doing a small comparison with Copic markers and Crayola super tips, so you can see how these compare. I do want to get Ohuhu, I think that's how you say it, markers, which are supposedly like really cheap Copic type alcohol markers. So that's another Merry Christmas to me type thing that I want to do, but I don't have them yet, so I can't compare them. Okay, now let's open this. I am always a fan of packages that I can open without scissors and things that will not break my nails. Guys, I'm not that high maintenance. Okay, maybe when I was a kid, I always made fun of the, oh my god, I broke a nail saying and people, but when you realize how long they take to grow and how much it can hurt, then you don't mess around. There we go. This is really pretty. So the tin is pretty nice. I personally would prefer for cheaper packaging like this, or like just cardboard packaging. So maybe there could be a few more markers inside instead for the $20 price ticket. That's just my opinion. Okay, these are interesting. Look at how long the cap is. I can't get it off. How do that's the gripper. It's still hard to get off. I can't get the lid off. There it goes. It smells like nail polish remover. How is this non-toxic? That is bad. as you can see, there are 8 markers in this top tray here and 6 in the bottom. Wink, wink. I don't think I can wink. Can I wink? I think I just blink both eyes. You know when people are like, how many fingers am I holding up? And you say 4 and they're like, no, 3 fingers and a thumb. Dad joke. Okay, so no, 8 markers in the bottom tray as well, but there's the 2 colorless blenders. They look like a mixture between bendy straws, earthworms, and lipstick. I cannot get these caps off. This is ridiculous. Oh, okay. No. It's gonna be the first try. Oh, I got marker all over me. Ready, set, swipe. Ooh, they're smooth, but do you blend? Oh, be careful when you open these because it splattered. Hey, it does kind of blend. Here's the very first test, and I think that blends together really well. And this is cardstock paper. It's not even blending marker paper. Go over it a couple times, and it's really actually blending into the red ink. A warning, do not work with these on a white blanket or any type of fabric, carpet, any clothing that you don't want to get ruined. Don't wear that because they can splatter. Also, if you're just using cardstock or even thinner paper, don't put it directly on top of your desk. Put something underneath to protect your workspace because it does bleed through the paper. Leo, it's a Christmas pickle. Let's go ahead and swatch these. I did remove all of the lids so it's a little bit quicker, and I got a bunch of red ink on me because that one was so difficult to take off. This one looks like a highlighter, straight up highlighter. I like that these are named. This one is canary. Then we have yellow, very creative. Next up is peach, orange, bubblegum, bubblegum, bubblegum in a dish. Then we have red, and I spaced these swatches out really poorly. Wisteria. I really love the crayon color Wisteria. I think it's probably my favorite out of all these. Next up is violet, which looks like a very true purple. Then we have cornflower, which looks, I think, darker than the cornflower crayon. Now we have blue. Very, very pigmented. That was a little wavy there. And why have I not zoomed in yet? Gosh, I filmed all those so far away. So here we have sea green. That one's really pretty as well. And we have green. Finally, I'm going to test slate, which is a gray, and then black. Ooh, I like this one. It has a little bit of a blue tint to it. And black, which, not as dark as I would have hoped. Here is Crayola Super Tips Black next to it. And I definitely think this one is a better black. I don't know, I'm wondering why there is this difference. It must just be the way that the formula has to interact with the Colorless Blender. Speaking of the Colorless Blender, let's move on to that. So here's what it looks like just on the paper. You can definitely tell where it is, at least I can. I don't know if you can on camera. You can see that it's a little bit more wet on the page. So let's test this on every color swatch. I'll just do the corners, or maybe I should try to draw a heart in each one. Oh yeah, let's put a little heart. Ooh, that is a big change. So from what I read on the package, it does say that the Colorless Blender is just meant to lift color or lighten color. So it doesn't really say that it's supposed to blend anything. It's like one of those magic markers in the kids' like color change kits. And it definitely works better for some colors than it does for others. Peach is definitely the winner for the most affected, but it seems like none of these on the bottom have really changed much. Maybe if I go over it a couple times. 2 with the black, 2 with the green. There's 3, 4, 5. So after 5 layers, it's the same as the gray with 2 layers basically. And at this point, it's starting to almost eat away at the paper because there's just so much moisture. So here's a little bit better of a close-up, and you can see the more ink you use, the more it bleeds or feathers. So that one's really crisp, the edges, because I only use the Colorless Blender in one layer. But the blue and the black, as you can see, it just kind of like, it doesn't really look like a very crisp heart anymore. Basically every single color bleeds the same amount to the back. But if you look here, the Colorless Blender makes it bleed even more. Something really nice about these Crayola blending markers is when you go to color a patch, it doesn't look streaky. It looks really, really solid there. And you can build up the color a little bit, and it still looks really, really smooth. Even if you just do random lines, it just kind of disappears into the other ink already down. Now, if I want to do the same thing with the Crayola Super Tips marker, which is, you know, cheaper and a different ink formula, it does not compare. And this is already eating away at the paper hardcore. Let's try it just with one more, which is this blue one here. That one does look a little bit better, but still you can see the streaks. Now let's move on to the blending comparison test. I'm of course going to use the blending markers for the first one, Crayola Super Tips in the middle, and then Copics over here. I don't have the brush tip for these, but then again, these are not brush tip either. Let's try to blend this one into the darker blue. Oh my gosh, it's really blending well. That's awesome. Wow. Okay, I messed up. And I feel like I could do even better if I really, really took my time. But that's just not even really trying. Super Tips, show us what you got. Super Tips don't really work that well on cardstock paper, I think, is what's going on. This is like night and day. The ink is so different. Yeah, this does not blend well. We're gonna have to wait for it to dry to see the true effect, I think. I do want to go back in here and try and fix this little... Now, onto the Copics, of course. Okay, what is going on? Maybe Copics hate this paper? Oh, they have to do a lot of... It's kind of a nasty blend. Maybe I'm just more of an amateur and I need some more blending skills. That looks terrible. What in the world? Maybe I should try again? So I think that was definitely a user error because this one turned out better, but still there's a really harsh, distinct color block going on here where you can see that. I would assume that the paper has something to do with this. I hope anyway, because Copics are super expensive. So this is kind of interesting. I did more swatches on the regular thin computer paper, and they appear to be more vibrant on this paper, most of them anyway, than they are on the cardstock. So the black, there is a drastic difference. The gray is also a little bit lighter, the green's lighter. Everything just is a little lighter and less pigmented down here. And I wonder if it absorbs the ink more maybe. And I wonder how the Colorless Blender is gonna do on these. It definitely feels like this would eat away at the paper a lot more quickly than it would at the cardstock. But yeah, the black just doesn't seem to want to budge. Takes a lot for this one. Also, now that the ink has been drying for a couple minutes, it does look like this kind of faded a little bit, but it's still darker than the cardstock one. I whipped up a little comparison on printer paper, and I'm actually really surprised. It looks like the signature marker, the blending one, actually blends better on this thinner paper than it does on the cardstock. Pretty much the same results with the Super Tips and the Copic as these here. This probably, like I said, isn't a very fair test for the Copics because they are alcohol markers and they're meant to be used on good paper, on like marker paper or blending board. Nonetheless, I'm still really shocked that such an expensive marker would perform so poorly and basically at the same level as a cheap Crayola Super Tips marker. It seems to be okay here for the dark blending, but here at the light part, it's just, yeah, not good at all. So this one wins for both of these papers. Just for fun, I wanted to see if the Colorless Blender would work on the other two markers. It definitely does not on the Super Tips, but it does on the Copic, which is kind of surprising. Here I've just sketched out a really quick doodle of a lemon and a lemon slice. I know, very random. A lot of channels will usually do people or even animals, but hey, we're doing a fruit. A very sour fruit. And while I'm coloring this in, I want to talk a little bit about my thoughts on these markers. So, I mean, obviously I showed you everything so far, the testing and whatnot. Do I really think these markers are worth $20 or less if you get them, like I said, from Michael's and use a coupon? Yes and no. So I think that they're great quality, but why such the limited color range? That's probably one of the biggest problems I have with this marker set, is the fact that Crayola put out a line of blending markers, but there's really only 14 colors. This is so much less than any other marker line from Crayola even, because their super tips have 100 different colors. So if they made a bigger set, that would be great. But I mean, you can't do a whole lot with 14 markers, especially if you want to draw people, because there are no skin tones whatsoever. I mean, you can make a pink person because the peach is kind of pinky, but there's no brown, there's no tan. Yeah, this Colorless Blender is not really taking away as much color as I want. Trying to shade, it's not turning out the greatest. These definitely are a step up from the super tips, but there's just not enough colors to make it worthwhile. I wanted to make this video be more about the marker and reviewing those instead of focusing on the artwork, but if you do want to see me draw something, I did just post a video last week where I recreated my clay charms. I turned them into drawings with Copic markers, so I will link that below if you're interested in watching that. I drew 3 things in that video, so go on over there if you have a drawing craving and this did not fulfill that for you. I know these are really quick, messy doodles, but I wanted to do a version to compare with the super tips, so I created this one. And you can tell that you just can't really blend out any of the white areas, so you have to leave those on the page. And there's really no way to build up the color, at least with the yellow here. And I couldn't get the dots on the lemon, the texture, like the little dimples, to be yellow and show up, so they had to be like a light orange. I'm sure the style depends on your personal preference and what artwork you like to create. This is a little bit more vibrant, but like I said, there's just no shading variation and it really just doesn't work that way. Another thing about these is they kind of bleed if you're trying to do thin lines and detail. So with this mandala, I don't really have a lot of control over how far the ink flows out, and I will compare it with the super tips to see if that's any better. And yes, definitely if you're just using these markers for doodling and maybe writing in a planner, you would want to stick with the super tips, which is great for you anyway, because it's, like I mentioned a couple times already, a lot cheaper to just use the super tips. Unless you really want to blend something, I would recommend these still over the blending markers, but like I did mention with the lemon, there's definitely a lot of pros to the different things that you can do with these markers. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up to let me know, and also turn bell notifications on. I post a brand new video here every single Friday. I hope to see you back next week. And also, if you want to see more of my life, go on over to my vlog channel, Live Love Sarah Lynn, and check that out. I hope you guys have a great rest of the day, and I'll see you soon. Bye!